Now, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, has released a new air quality model, confirming that 92% of the world's population live in places where air quality levels exceed the organization's limits. It also indicated some 3 million deaths a year are linked to exposure to outdoor air pollution, and warns the effects of indoor pollution are just as deadly. Nearly 90% of air pollution-related deaths occur in low and middle-income countries. And this air quality model contains the most detailed outdoor air pollution-related health data ever reported. Information was derived from satellite measurements, air transport models and ground station monitors from more than 3,000 locations in 103 countries.
Environmental experts say they're not surprised by a new report which finds that more than 9 out of 10 people worldwide live in areas with excessive air pollution. The World Health Organization urged politicians and leaders to improve policies to confront the problem. Its report, published on Monday, highlighted countries such as India and China as expected, but also said the Eastern Mediterranean and Western Pacific were badly affected. In New Delhi, the level of the smallest particles in the air is 25 times the international safe limit. Indian researchers also blame a lack of official action against the poor air quality. At least they point out they're not alone.
We have this image that the European world has a very good air quality, and also we have that image that only the Asian cities, only the Asian countries and also the African continent has this problem of air pollution. But the best thing is this report actually tells that the European world is also facing the similar problem.
Despite some measures restricting car use in New Delhi, some 1,500 new vehicles are said to take to the roads every day.
A snow-covered former US Army base in Greenland could leak nuclear waste as rising temperatures cause ice caps to melt. That's according to a recent study published in the journal Geophysical Research Letters. The secret US base was built in 1959 and then abandoned 8 years later. The US Army removed the nuclear reactor but allowed its waste, equivalent to the mass of 30 Airbus A320 airplanes, to be entombed under snow and ice. The study warns that by 2090, the amount of ice melting may no longer be offset by snowfall, meaning the toxic chemicals could start leaking into the environment. Since site excavation would be hugely expensive, the study's leader believes a cleanup operation would have to wait until the camp has been fully uncovered by the melting ice.
Beachgoers here in Manasota Key say they're shocked. They've never seen so many dead fish along the shoreline.
Oh, I think it's devastating.
Beachgoers on Tuesday trying to enjoy the Southwest Florida sunshine, but staying out of the water.
It smells, it doesn't smell great, and it doesn't look good. So I think I'm just going to lay on the beach and get some sun instead.
Florida Fish and Wildlife says the piles of dead fish are caused by red tide.
It's naturally occurring. It's been documented in the Gulf since the 1800s.
But nearby residents say they can't believe how many dead fish they're finding along the waterways.
It has happened in the previous 5 years, but never to this extent.
FWC says red tide forms about 10 to 40 miles offshore and is brought in by currents and wind. The toxic algae is known for fish kills along Southwest Florida's coast and even respiratory problems. As for now, beachgoers say they plan to stay out of the water and away from the beach until it clears.
It looks so miserable, and the smell and the water, we've never ever seen it that color before.
FWC also says there's no way to predict how long this will last. They say last year, red tide caused fish kills along these very same beaches from September all the way to April.
It's like a furnace when you step outside in much of California, and whether you're along the coastline or you're inland. This fire began on Monday when it was 97-degree heat in the hills above Santa Cruz. That's just south of San Jose, just south of the Silicon Valley. That's where this fire is burning. It's called the Loma Fire. More than 3,000 acres. There are 500 firefighters on it. There's no cause of yet. You mentioned 10% contained, but it's very difficult terrain to fight this in. Everything's very dry here in California. This drought just doesn't want to seem to end. We know there have been a number of homes and buildings destroyed. Now, while the fire is obviously very serious business, people did not really want to evacuate in many cases. A lot of the people down here are in more rural areas. They like to live out in that area and they want to try to save their homes, but firefighters warn about these brutal fire conditions everybody's facing.
As crews work to battle them from above, right now, the fire is only about 10% contained.
A huge forest fire is raging in the Irkutsk region of Siberia. Water-carrying planes have been deployed to the scene, along with 600 responders and 200 units of special equipment. The blaze has been burning since Tuesday. The Russian Emergency Ministry says the fire covers more than 400 hectares of land, most of it forest.
To the index tonight, tourists trapped by an erupting volcano overseas. That volcano spewing ash 6,000 feet into the air near Bali. Search teams went looking for about 400 missing tourists. They were climbing a popular hiking trail. Most have been found. It is believed about 50 remaining tourists are still heading down the mountain.
And now we go to China, where Typhoon Megi, the 17th typhoon to hit the region this year, has made landfall. It struck Quanzhou City in East China's Fujian province at 4:40 a.m. local time. Now, Megi brings winds of up to 118 kilometers per hour. Meanwhile, China's National Meteorological Center has continued to issue an orange alert, the second highest of a 4-tier warning system for rainstorms on Wednesday. Heavy rainfalls are forecast for parts of Fujian, Zhejiang, Jiangxi and Anhui provinces in East China and Guangdong province in the south of the country.
Smashing windows and tearing apart houses. After wreaking havoc in Taiwan, the powerful Megi headed across the strait and made landfall in Fujian early Wednesday morning. This truck was blown over when the storm approached. Luckily, the driver was unharmed. The city of Ningde has become a water town.
The water has come inside, rising to about this high, and almost everything in the shop was soaked.
More than 2,000 soldiers were dispatched overnight to help evacuation and provide aid. Daylight reviewed, schools flooded, trees uprooted, and public facilities down. Water utilities have been working at full capacity to pump supplies from inland waterways.
The water level has reached the warning mark. We've been monitoring the water level as well as the rainfall condition in 24 hours.
Weather authorities say the typhoon has weakened into a tropical storm, but torrential downpours will continue in southern and eastern China in the next few days.
Heavy rainfall from Typhoon Megi has caused a landslide in a Lishui city village in East China's Zhejiang province. Up to 30 people are missing and dozens of houses have been damaged.
A suspected US drone strike against ISIL targets in Afghanistan's Nangarhar province has killed at least 18 people, though other reports put the death toll and number of civilian casualties higher. The missile reportedly struck a house on the eastern border with Pakistan where people were sleeping after a gathering to welcome a local elder who had returned from the Hajj pilgrimage. Several were also badly wounded. The bombing happened at 3 a.m. and I was asleep. I did not know what happened. I just heard a big blast, this man said. While several ISIL fighters were apparently among the dead, civilian casualties in US drone strikes against militants have long been a source of friction between Afghanistan and its Western allies.
A flagship EU policy to relocate migrants from Greece and Italy appears to have flopped, but the European Commission is sticking to its guns. EU leaders last September agreed to move 160,000 migrants from those two countries within 2 years. But just over 5,000 people have been relocated. Commission officials reckon there are 30,000 eligible migrants still in Greece will be moved by the end of next year. Despite the low numbers, the EU's executive arm insists there'll be no change in policy.
Tonight, FBI Director James Comey is revealing investigators have discovered more attempts to breach voter registration sites beyond the previously known hacks in Arizona and Illinois.
There have been a variety of scanning activities, which is a preamble for potential intrusion activities, as well as some attempted intrusions at voter registration databases beyond those we knew about in July and August.
Investigators are confident Russia is behind several recent cyber attacks to influence the U.S. elections. CNN has learned U.S. investigators now believe Guccifer 2.0 is a Russian intelligence operation disguised as a group of rogue hackers which targeted the Democratic National Committee.
The US Congress has voted to override President Barack Obama's veto of a bill allowing relatives of 9/11 victims to sue Saudi Arabian officials. It's the first time in his 8-year presidency it's ever happened, and it means the bill will become law. The White House has described it as embarrassing. But supporters of the bill said the government was more interested in diplomacy than the bereaved families and justice. 15 of the 19 hijackers in the 9/11 attacks were Saudi nationals, but the oil-rich kingdom has denied any role in the attacks, which left nearly 3,000 people dead. Investigators have said there's no proven link to support claims that Saudi officials provided financial support to the hijackers. Fertility doctors, using a brand new technique to eliminate inherited disease, have helped a woman deliver a baby with 3 genetic parents. The child, who is now 5 months old, has the usual DNA from his mom and dad, plus genetic code from a female donor. The method was carried out in Mexico by US Dr. John Zhang and his team, as the procedure is illegal in America. It means the child is now free of a fatal disorder known as Lee syndrome, which, carried in his mother's genes, led to the deaths of 2 previous children. Experts say the move heralds a new era in medicine and could help other families with rare genetic conditions. However, critics say it's playing God and insist such controversial techniques have rigorous checks.
Confirmation of a shooting at a school in South Carolina. What you're looking at right now are live pictures of Townville Elementary School. This is in Anderson County, South Carolina. What we know at this hour, emergency crews say 2 students have been shot. We don't have word yet on their condition. We know the fire department says it has been told to be on standby. The school is being cleared at this moment.
It was a firefighter who took the gunman down, and officials tell us that that school had actually been practicing active shooting drills for the past 5 years.
Jerika, is there a connection between the suspect and the victims?
We just got a release from the department, the Townville Police Department, and they're telling us that there appears to be no connection to the victims right now. Again, they were very particular in saying that they're going to be methodical and they're going to be meticulous about this investigation. They have another news conference in a few hours where they might be updating us with more information. But the question remains, what motivated this juvenile, this young teen, to kill his father and then go to this elementary school and start firing shots?
In the United States, an unarmed black man died after being shot by a police officer in the city of El Cajon in Southern California on Tuesday. Police say the man refused to remove his hand from his pocket before pulling an object from his pants and pointing it at 2 officers. But no weapon was found on the scene after the shooting. The incident prompted crowds to gather at the scene and at the El Cajon Police Department throughout Tuesday night. Similar deaths have added to a torrent of accusations over racial bias in U.S. law enforcement and calls for greater police accountability in the killing of black people. However, police implore the public to be patient, work with them, and look at the facts before making any judgments.
Now let's turn to Southern California, where protesters have taken to the streets following yet another police shooting of an unarmed African-American. It came after police shot and killed Ugandan-born Alfred Olango, who suffered a mental disability. The 2 officers involved were responding to several calls as the victim was walking in traffic in the San Diego suburb of El Cajon. Police say the man pulled an object from his pocket and took aim at them in the shooting stance. However, no weapon from the man was recovered. At the scene, the object he was said to be carrying was not specified, and protesters have yelled murder and demanded a federal investigation into the fatal shooting.
We tried the whole Martin Luther King way, you know? Now it's time for us to get Malcolm X way. We've been quiet, we've been silent, and we're tired of sitting back and letting you guys kill us just because we're black.
It ain't just black people, it's everybody. We need the police to understand that we matter. Lives matter. It's not indiscriminate killing. We need the cops to get punished for what they do. We need to make a stand, y'all.
5 suspected members of an ISIL terror cell have been arrested after coordinated police raids in Spain, Belgium and Germany. In Barcelona, 2 individuals were detained and evidence seized. Accused of spreading propaganda and inciting attacks, the group's dedicated Facebook page apparently had 32,500 followers and was attracting 500 new users per week. Spain's Interior Minister said, "We've simultaneously dismantled a network which was spreading. It was perfectly integrated into the ISIL structure, producing terrorist propaganda, for example, video material, which, due to its cruelty, aims to create a state of permanent insecurity." Arrests also took place in Brussels, Wuppertal in Germany, and Spain's African enclave of Melilla.
A Largo mom going on Facebook warning friends that her daughter saw a clown at her bus stop. The sheriff's office is now looking into it. So the Now's Nicole Grigg is explaining, real or fake, these sort of clown sightings. Are they really making people nervous?
The clowns are coming.
Someone
lurking in a clown mask along a dark dirt road in Ocala, Florida last week.
This is an OPE.
The Facebook video now with 1 million views, but there's more. This clown caught on video waving in Virginia, and police body camera footage in Georgia arresting this man for running around and scaring women. Then there's this clown spotted in Wisconsin holding these black balloons. And in all, there's been almost a dozen creepy clown sightings across the nation. We have Florida and Georgia, but we can tell you 3 of them have been confirmed hoaxes.
And they just keep coming.
The neighborhood discussed it tonight with what has come to their doorstep. As ABC Action News reporter Cameron Poland shows us, they woke up to find some hateful messages sitting in their driveways.
Neighbors are stunned tonight, telling me that every single home here on Fillmore Avenue had one of these small plastic bags tossed in their driveway. Neighbors in this Port Richey neighborhood woke up to more than just their daily paper in their driveway.
My stomach turned. It's disturbing.
It surprised the hell out of me.
I think it's horrible.
Little plastic bags with a startling invitation folded up inside.
And I thought they were dead and gone, or at least under the carpet.
But according to this Ku Klux Klan flyer, they're going strong and looking for new members.
I think that it's off somewhere else, but in actuality, it's here among us.
Olivia Hernandez is Mexican-American and says the KKK won't find any new recruits on this street. She believes the group is trying to take advantage of the current climate of racial divide.
They're not very bright if they're sending this to, people that aren't white.
But even those most sought after find the Klan's tactics despicable.
We're a nice, quiet neighborhood. I don't want this stuff here.